African and African American children have a different way of learning. They are right brain, subject oriented in their learning styles. Right brain, that means creative and intuitive. Subject oriented means they learn not from an object but from a subject. They learn from a person. Several of the white teachers in my school freaked out. Why? Because black kids wouldn't stay in their place. Over there, behind the desk, black kids climbed up all on them. Because they learned from a subject, not from an object. Tell me a story. They have a different way of learning. Those same children who have difficulty reading from an object and who are labeled EMH, TMH, and ADD, those children can say every word from every song on every hip-hop radio station, half of whose words the average adult here tonight cannot understand. Why? Because they come from a right brain, creative, oral culture like the griots in Africa who can go for 2 to 3 days as oral repositories of a people's history. And like the oral tradition, we pass down the first 5 books in our Jewish Bible, our Christian Bible, our Hebrew Bible, long before there was a written Hebrew script. We are committed to changing the way we treat each other. The way the so-called haves and have-mores, to use Bush's speechwriter's term. Don't y'all think he made that up? Come on now. The way the haves and the have-mores treat the have-nots. The way the educated treat the uneducated. The way those with degrees treat those who never made it through high school. The way those of us who never got caught treat those of us who are incarcerated, making rehabilitation a priority over incarceration.
Now, you got to understand what this man has just said. He's just said that if you have an education, you are suspect. He's also said that if you have no degree or no education at all, you're basically a hero. James, WOR, welcome to the Savage Nation.
How are you, Dr. Savage? In order for me to get my master's degree in education, I had to essentially sit through indoctrination sessions like this, having to do with black children.
That's what I said. That's called Maoism. What we're going through in America for the last 30 years as a result of, and by the way, the blacks didn't start this. It's the white communist left-wingers like Obama's friend Ayers and the others who have done this. They have done this to this country. There's a mini Maoist revolution going on in the country, which is why an unknown nobody like Obama could get this far, why a used-up hag like Hillary could get this far, and why a burnt-out suitcase like McCain could get this far. It's because the country has not been dumbed down. It's been anesthetized.
And part of the lessons also were just that we shouldn't correct kids' grammar, that it's judgmental, and that we should accept their ebonics and not teach them standard English, as it would hurt their self-esteem.
Right. So this all comes from stupid professors who were pushed ahead because of affirmative action, and then in order to prove that they're not stupid, they then reconfirm their stupidity by saying, we're right, you're wrong. It's Alice in Wonderland, in other words, upside down. So all of Western civilization is evil, and all of African civilization is good. And if we follow this insanity, this Afrocentric pedagogy, what do you think would occur? Tell me what would occur if this Afrocentric crackpot pedagogy were to incorporate itself into the mind of the president of the United States. Tell me what would happen.
Well, I mean, you see more of it being taught, I'm sure. But as a black man myself, I just found it extremely insulting, and I would confront the professors all the time. This is an insulting thing to say, that we can't learn.
But you're a black guy. But was the teacher a white person teaching it to you, or a black person?
Absolutely. No, the teachers were all white who would teach these.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. Old Doc Savage pulled it out, didn't he? Pulled the rabbit out of the hat. I know who's disseminating this hate. These are all stone-hearted, radical Leninist, Marxist, communists who want to bring it all down, girl. And the best way to do it is to use the uneducated, the violent, to overthrow the society, James. You understand that?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Well, thank God they can't wash everyone's brain, James. See, you're the new generation of young black, and you find reality, and you find this as offensive as I do. I know you do.
Well, let me tell you this much. If you do go against that and you start speaking out against it, what the schools will do is fire you, which is exactly what happened to me. I would.
What?
Yeah, I was let.
What do you mean fired you? They fired you as a teacher?
As a teacher, that's correct. I didn't have tenure. I was basically demanding that they enforce the rules of the school, rules against violence, rules against profanity, institute some kind of detention system. They didn't like my ideas, even though in the books they're supposed to have a 100% intolerance toward violence and things of that nature, but they would not enforce any kind of discipline, so they let me go for bringing it up so often.
What school? What type of school? What level?
Public school, middle school, Bronx, New York.
But what, part of the New York Board of Education?
Exactly.
They fired you because you wanted to support discipline?
Absolutely. And you would think...
So what are you doing now? I hope you're not unemployed.
Nah, I'm a soldier in the United States Army.
Well, believe me, you made a better career choice. But you know, James, I can't believe what you're telling me. I find it incomprehensible.
I'm not alone.
You know, James, if I had heard you were unemployed, what I was going to do was actually get your number and have someone offer you a job. But thank God you have the best employment that you can get right now, which is defending our freedoms and my ability to continue to have this dialogue without all of us being put in the dungeon of our own mind. God bless you, man. Thanks for calling the show. I'd be talking about him if it wasn't about a presidential candidate who sat in this man's lap for 20 years and listened to his rubbish. And this is the dangerous part of this shock frock. Listen to what he's saying. It's the most racist rhetoric I have heard in my contemporary life. I can't imagine what would happen if a white man got up and gave a speech saying the same things. What if a white man got up and said that blacks cannot pursue higher degrees because that's white and they have a different brain, that blacks cannot sit still in a class or learn from quiet study because they can only learn from subjects such as rap lyrics on the radio? What if a white man got up and said that students who climbed up all over the teachers because they learned from a subject, not an object, proves that black kids are not equal to white kids, and that's why they can't learn and why their grades are lower than blacks, whites, and Asians? What would happen if a white man said that? You'd call him every name under the sun. You'd be screaming. Why, that bullhorn fraud would be marching and saying he'd shut down America, wouldn't he? Well, he'd be right to be angry. But not when the crackpot shock frock says it. Then it's okay. I have a man named Obama who, in my opinion, I can't say in my opinion is not a hater. I don't know anymore. I think he may be a good actor. He just may be a good actor hiding all of this stuff inside his soul. Remember, he went to this church 20 years ago when he said he was a confused youth, and he found himself. He found his place in Obama's church. He felt good there, in Wright's church. He felt good there. And now we're supposed to believe by the white liars in the New York Times, the white liars in the LA Times, the white liars at ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox News that Obama didn't pick up any of this stuff. He didn't hear any of it. We're supposed to believe the white liar left-wingers on CNN that Wright has been taken out of context, that he's really a good man who gave out food to the poor of Chicago, and that he was taken out of context by mad right-wingers, and these are only snippets. We're supposed to believe that fraudulent left-wing hack, Bill Moyers on PBS, who didn't ask one real question, is trying to make this guy look like what he isn't. Why? We're supposed to believe that Moyers, a disrespected old sad clown who couldn't sell a greeting card outside Pennsylvania Station, he went on his show so that Wright could say the playing of his sound bites was unfair, unjust, and untrue. And yet he comes out after that Moyers puff piece, and he goes before the National Press Club, and he repeats exactly what he said before, only worse. And then he goes and gives a performance at the NAACP, which I'm playing for you, which is even worse. And we're supposed to believe that these statements are taken out of context?